All right. Good morning, everyone, or afternoon on the East Coast. I'm Kamal Shah, founder and CEO of SiteCapture, and joining me is Robin Droppa, VP of Sales and Customer Success. And welcome to our very first episode of SiteCapture Live. SiteCapture Live is a new streaming event that we'll be doing on a regular basis once a month. And it really provides us an opportunity to connect with our customers, prospects, partners, and other industry leaders around a variety of topics relevant to the industries we work in. I actually wanted to start off with a quick shout out and thank you to Janelle and Sean from our marketing team who worked really hard to put this program together, and we're excited about launching it today. So today's first topic is, or I should say the first topic for SiteCapture Live that we're covering today is one that has come up frequently with our customer base over the years. And it really is about how to eliminate repeat site visits. You know, those frustrating times you need to go back to the job site because something was forgotten. It's another costly truck roll, and it's just frustrating for everyone to do it. And so we thought that would be a great topic to kick off with, as it applies to almost our entire customer base. So let's see, before we get started, I want to really just give a quick overview of what to expect from today. So let me move this slide forward one. Here we go. So we'll be kicking off with a brief intro to SiteCapture. I know we've got a lot of customers and people that are very familiar with SiteCapture joining us, but also a number of people who are less familiar. We're diving in a little bit into introduction of today's topic and really how SiteCapture helps with that eliminating repeat site visits. And then I'll be handing it over to Robin, who'll be giving a live demo. And we expect that to kind of be the bulk of the presentation. So you can really see SiteCapture in action and how it helps solve these problems. And then we'll do Q&A at the end. So if you have questions, you can put them in the comments of whatever platform you're on. We'll see them. Most of them we'll save to the end, but if there's some that are relevant around helping clarify something we're talking about, maybe we'll jump in and answer them as we go. So that's really a format for today. This is our first time doing it, so we've scheduled 45 minutes. We don't really know how long it will be, but I would expect it to be somewhere between 30 and 45 minutes. And we're hoping to keep just this fun and light and interactive. And if we have any glitches, you know, since it's the first time we do it, just bear with us. But we're hoping just to keep it fun and keep it rolling. All right, so let's go ahead. An introduction to SiteCapture. So who are we? We are a software company. We provide a mobile and cloud software platform for managing field operations. And a simple way to think about it is that we help companies better manage the jobs they do out on job sites. And how do we do that? Well, really, one of the most critical aspects in managing any job, especially when you're doing it remotely, is to make sure that you have really good visibility into what's happening on that job, really good documentation, and really good reporting. And that's where SiteCapture comes in. We make it really easy to capture all the critical data and photos needed for any type of job. You can do it on a smartphone or tablet. Your field staff can use a smartphone or tablet to do that. And really, our goal is to make sure that information is as complete, consistent, and accurate as possible to make it as easy as possible for you to manage that work. We've been around for 10 years or over 10 years. We have thousands of companies using the platform. We've had over 700,000 jobs SiteCapture has been used on, and over 1 billion photos stored. So we've been doing it for a while. We've been really fortunate to be able to work with folks in the industry and customers over the years to really help understand the problems better, understand where people get a need, want tools to manage jobs better, and had a chance to continue to improve our product and improve how we work with customers over the years. So that's just an introduction to who we are as a company. Who uses SiteCapture? We're primarily working in 3 key industries. The solar industry, we have customers like Trinity and Freedom Forever, Sunrun, and a host of other small and medium-sized solar companies that use SiteCapture to manage their site survey process, manage their installations, all field office communications, operations, and maintenance. In the property management sector, we have companies like First Key, Conrex, Roofstock, and they use us for managing all the things that are required to, manage their properties, their buildings, and homes that they manage. They're doing inspections, work orders, turns and renovations, acquisition processes using SiteCapture. And in the construction space, estimating, scoping, project tracking, quality control, photo documentation. All of these various types of activities that, being able to collect really good data is really important for, and that's really how we work and what we do for these, where we work and the areas that we work in for our customers. This is where they use our product. Okay, so if we dive into the topic for today, that topic is, again, how to eliminate repeat site visits with SiteCapture. So one thing that we, in all of the industries we work in, one of the common problems that our customers come with us that talk to us a lot about is sort of the, how frustrating, costly, and time-consuming it is to have to go back onto a job site, to roll a truck, to have somebody have to go back out there. And really the goal here is how to eliminate those unnecessary repeat site visits. And we'll be showing you today how SiteCapture is used by customers to eliminate those site visits. So we have really 4 key areas that we'll be demoing or talking about. We have, first part is SiteCapture has very easy to use mobile apps for both iOS and Android that allow your field staff to capture all the data directly on their smartphones without need of other tools or other apps. Whatever type of job they've got, they can use the same app to capture all the photo and data that's necessary on a given job. We have form capabilities and the ability to have very customized forms for every type of job, every client. Those forms allow you to define required fields and required photos to make sure that all the data and photos that you need to capture on a job site are done before your field staff leave the job site. We have conditional logic, so these forms are smart. If you answer a question a certain way, other questions get asked, and they can fill those in. We provide features like example photos to make sure that the right photos are taken. So if you want a photo of the front of the house, you can have an example photo of that to make sure that they're putting it in the full frame and the photo is done the right way. And we can allow you to have different forms for every type of job and every type of client. So you can customize these for different needs that you might have depending on the type of work you're doing. We also allow the ability to sync all that data directly from the job site. So as opposed to maybe older traditional ways where people are capturing these information on the job site on their phone and taking notes or putting in an Excel spreadsheet, going home, assembling everything together and then uploading it to Dropbox or, sending that information in other ways, everything gets automatically synced from the mobile app directly to the cloud and is immediately viewable for people in the office. So they got a chance to review that work before the staff leave the job site. And the final thing is around a new feature that we're launching. It's an in-app messaging feature that lets you have real-time communication, like a chat feature, a messaging feature inside of SiteCapture to communicate in real time on jobs. So again, if you notice something that needs to be done on a job site, you can catch and communicate with your staff before they even leave the job site. So anyway, that's a quick overview of how SiteCapture helps eliminate repeat site visits. I don't want to spend too much time on slideware. We want to dive into product with Robin. So we will go ahead and do that. We're going to roll right into a demo. All right, Robin, I'm going to take this slide off and let you take over.
Thanks, Kamal. Welcome. So as Kamal mentioned, we're a mobile and cloud software product, and there's different entry points. And so the first thing that I'm going to show you is from the perspective of someone who may be on the desktop or maybe they're on their laptop, but kind of like what I'd call the office perspective. And the concept here is this is someone who has administrative privileges, who's logging into SiteCapture in order to get the work sent out to the field so it can get done. And I know we've got people from all different industries who are watching us, but this particular example, just to set the stage for you, this is going to be something where this is a solar installation company. Primarily what they're going to be doing is they're going to need to go out and do a site audit after the job has been initially estimated and the customer has signed off that they do want to buy their solar roofing. This company is going to need to go out and do a full audit to make sure that they're prepared for that installation. And then subsequently, they'll actually go out and do something like a completion report. So they'll go in and make sure the project work was done. And what you're seeing here is the entry point. So I would be the person that's going to go in and look at all of my job sites. And in this case, I'll just select one of those sites. One quick note, one of the best ways to prevent repeat site visits is to have all the accurate information getting out to the field the first time. So when the person gets there, they know where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to do, and what they're required to gather in terms of data and photos. And so in this particular way that I'm showing this to you, what you'll see is my job sites are already organized. All of my critical data points about those job sites is in here. So whether this be a residential home or a commercial building, for whatever purpose that you're sending someone out there to do work on your behalf, all of these critical details are already here. And all I need to do is pick the type of work that I want to have done, check a box. In this case, I'm going to say I'm going to have someone go out and do a site audit. Then I can quickly tell them, for example, when I want that audit done. And then I can also quickly assign that out to the right person. And so that I can show you this from both sides, I'm going to assign this out to myself as if I were the person going out to do the audit out in the field. Right now, of course, I'm logged in as an administrator. When I switch over to my phone, I'll show you that. And I've quickly actually created this. So I'm just going to put a note in here so we can see it when I get to my phone and know this is the specific one I did. But I could edit anything that I needed to, quickly put a note in here. And now what's going to happen is this form, which is going to have all of its requirements and all of the fields in it that I need to have taken on the job site, is going to be a notification is going to go out to the user who I'm sending out to the job site to do the work. And I can just sit back and wait for them to get the work done. I wish it were that easy. What I'm going to do is, give me one moment here. So what I'm going to do is pause my sharing and I'm going to switch over and show you guys how this looks from the mobile side.
Great. And one thing I'll mention, Robin, while you're doing that is that, I mentioned before that we work in a variety of industries. Just for the purposes of today's demo, we're focusing on a solar use case. So, but, the same features and approaches apply to eliminating those site visits, repeat site visits, and whatever job you're doing.
All right, here we go. I'm going to share my phone. You guys are going to have to watch this for one moment. You're going to get a little Alice in Wonderland experience. It's going to be through the looking glass of this StreamYard product.
Down the rabbit hole.
There we go. All righty. Great. So now what you're seeing is my actual phone. It's my live phone. And I'm logged in here as what we call a field user. So our SiteCapture product is role and permission based. And one of the ways this also helps with eliminating the need for redundant site visits is you can actually focus the information you need to get into the right hands based on the user's role. So in this case, I'm logged in as a field user. I could be a crew member. I could be a site supervisor. I'm going to be going out in the field and doing work. And as you can see, I log into SiteCapture. I just press in to my app. I've got an entire list of all the different work that I have. I have different things that are going to draw my attention to make it easy for me to see what I need to do. I can also actually map my work out. I can actually look at a view of my work in a mapped view, and that'll just help me decide like where I'm going quickly. Just pressing little thumb points to show me kind of summary of that work, and then I could just drill directly into it. Or I can look at it in a list view and I can organize it and just find things either by like what's due today or what's closest to me. Whatever it may be, I have lots of different ways I can organize and find the work that I need to find. In this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up a new site survey that I need to work on. Excuse me, things are lagging just slightly on my end here. So you can see this is the one that I was just assigned. By the way, I would have received a notification that this was assigned to me. So I could have clicked directly through, for example, an email message that has a link in it. So I could have found this instantly. But here I am. I'm in this site survey. And the most important thing that everyone needs to know is you have flexibility in how our forms are structured, and required fields are critical. So in order to get someone out to that job site and get the data points that you need and get the photos you need, being able to structure it so that you've got required photos is going to be huge. So one of the biggest things about this, you can see these numbers that are stacking up here. These are areas where there are required fields, and this is telling me that there are things I need to do when I get to the job site. So they're easy to find because they're in this bright orange or reddish orange color. I can scroll with my thumb so I can have my phone in one hand, and I see, oh, right off the bat, I need to put in an assessment date. So I would pick that date. And then the next one is telling me that I need to take a photo on arrival showing I'm wearing safety gear. One of the other things that's going to be critical, so it's not just showing them what photos they're required to take, but in some cases you might need to be giving them an example so they can make sure they take the photo you absolutely need. So in this case, I could click on this example photo and it's showing me you need to take a selfie, you need to take a front-facing photo, and you need to show us that you're wearing your construction gear. So
you need to be wearing an orange hard hat too, right?
Yeah, which I am not. So, but I will take the picture. So what you'll see is I've opened my camera and I'm just going to put it in that mode so then I can take my picture. And what that's going to do is that's showing that I've actually met that requirement since I took that photo. So now if I go back, you can see that there's no required field there for me. And then I would move on. So I go to my next one. I've got another place where I'm required to take a photo. And again, like I mentioned, it's showing an example to make sure that the person knows that they're getting the right photo. I'm going to talk for a minute about our photo taking experience because getting the right photos and getting them in the quality that you need is one of the most critical aspects to not having to send someone back redundantly so that they have to go back and take something they missed or something that you couldn't see. So I will press the camera icon. Sorry, didn't take myself out of selfie. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to finger focus or zoom in. So like right now, I'll zoom in on this home here. I can finger focus by pressing on it. Pressing the white button allows me to take that photo. I can also take like photos in kind of a rapid fire way if I needed to get several photos taken quickly. The other thing is I can also pinch to get a wide angle, so just a photo of a much wider angle. Either way, got lots of options in terms of the quality of that photo I'm taking. And then another thing that's behind the scenes is our customers in that admin role can actually determine if they want those photos to be taken at like the highest possible resolution. We see that a lot when people are taking photos of things that have labels. So for example, taking a photo at a very high resolution so that they can read the data that's on a label is another way, getting that critical information back. So you can see here, I've gone through and I've met those requirements. One of the things Kamal mentioned is the ability to communicate quickly back to someone else from the field. So what I could do here on this particular job is I could open up this chat string and I could say, something that would be applicable to my job. So I'm going to say, can't get on the roof, help. And this is going to act like any other app that you guys are probably familiar with that does chat inside of it. This is notifying the people who have permission on this project. This will be notifying the manager who's responsible for this particular job site. And they'll be able to be seeing that message in real time. They're getting a notification on their end and they can reply to me here. So just allowing me to take care of things while I'm standing right there on site. I'm just going to go through and just show you a couple more examples. We also offer the ability for you to focus people in to get the information that you need without making these forms too busy or making them too long or too difficult to get through. So in this case, I say, no, I couldn't get to the roof. I had no attic access. So there you go. That's done. Let's just say, for example, I did have attic access. I say yes. And now all of a sudden, even more requirements are showing up for me. So I'm just going to fill these required fields out as I go. And I'll just take another photo since that's one of the requirements. And then just go through and quickly answer questions. All of our fields are meant to be very simple and easy to fill out by the people when they're in the field. And one of the other things that you need, not only do you need the required fields, but you also need it to be easy for them to use and fill out, or else you're going to have trouble getting people to adopt it. So nice big buttons where they can make selections. Like I said, conditional, what we call conditional fields, or things that dynamically show up based on the answers to questions, just putting them in a situation where they don't have to get confused, easy, straightforward, they can follow it all the way down. And again, I'll just go through and I'll finish out these requirements here. We've got drop-down selections. We also have things where they can make multiple selections. Just answering my questions. One other quick note I'll just show you. If there's something that you want inventoried or assessed or inspected out at any job site, and you don't know what the quantity of that item is in advance, so maybe you know there's going to be roof arrays, or you know there's going to be additional issues or items that need to be cataloged, but you don't know them all in advance, what you can do is you can embed our forms with what I like to call mini forms. So basically, it just gives you the ability to say, I need you to add these for me as you go. So I'm going to add my first one. Again, these can have required fields so that I can go through and make sure I get the information that's needed. In this case, again, I'm going to require photos. Obviously, required photos are going to be kind of a big aspect of our product and what people focus on often. I could even require a comment if I wanted to. Just so you're aware, any place that you do something like take a photo to caption it, have a comment, or have a text field, those can always be populated by voice. Again, just making it as easy as possible to use. And, again, just go through, answer my questions, and be done. Another quick note I should have mentioned on the photo taking experience. Again, just to make it as helpful as possible, if the person out in the field really wants to make sure they're drawing attention to something, they can literally draw on the photo. So we often see things like arrows, or we'll see things circled on photos. They can also crop the photo. They can lighten it. They can do some editing to the photo right there in the field, just to make it as clear as possible. So when it gets back to you, it'll be what you need, give you the information you need, and won't require you to send someone back out. We have no limits on the number of photos that can be taken in each of these forms that get sent out to the field. There's no limit to how many photos can even be taken in a specific field. So the person's just going to go through, do their work. As you've seen, me show you before, look at their examples, take their photos, and then when they're done and they've met all of those requirements, they could mark it complete. But if they haven't met the requirement, they're going to get this pop-up, and that's just going to remind them there's something they haven't quite done. So again, I'll go drill in. It says to me, oh, okay, I need to take a photo of this. I'll take another photo here to meet that requirement. Scroll down, I see another place that I have to take a photo. So again, meet that requirement. Could add notes, and on I go. So that's a quick overview of what it looks like in mobile. Another quick thing to see here is you can see there's very clear indications of whether this is syncing or not, or how much is left to sync. That's letting that person out in the field know. When it says sync in progress, then those photos and those data points are still being sent back up to the cloud. So the person back in the office can't see them quite yet. But as soon as it's done and it's synced, now they can see it. So in this case, again, I could be going back to my chat and I could say take a look at the photos. Are they right? And again, I'm out on the field, so I'm not going to have to go back out a second time. Someone can be looking at them right here and now while I'm still out there. So now I've done all my requirements. I'm going to mark this complete. It's going to fully sync, so it grays out, so I can't change it while that's happening. And I'm going to stop sharing for a moment.
And Robin, actually, maybe before you do, we have a few questions. It might be a good time to jump in. Some of these are related to the mobile app. So, all right, let me go ahead and see if I can find them. I think one is related to the chat. The question is, how does it notify them? Do they need to be in the app, or in my case, have a desktop version open?
Great question. So you don't have to be in the app. There's actually push notifications. So what will happen is if I'm outside of the app and I'm on my mobile phone doing something else, I'll get one of those little banner notifications like other applications give you that'll tell me that I have a new chat message. Another way is visual. So like, for example, on this one here, I can just see this notification and it's telling me that I have chat. And again, kind of reinforcing it here. So I would just open it and then I can see it. On the desktop, you do have to actually be looking at the desktop. I will show you. You'll see this when I go back, because I believe when I go back in as the admin, you'll see the notifications pending for me there. But yeah, on mobile, you don't have to be inside the app. You'll actually get a push notification. Were there other questions, Kamal?
Yeah. Okay. There was also a question. Is there a way to require a photo to be clear and readable, or it'll kick them back and say the picture didn't meet the quality required? I have lots of pictures with numbers.
That is a great question. And that is something that we at SiteCapture are working on right now. So we're actually working on whether there is AI out there that is going to be quality enough to allow that to happen right out there on the mobile device, right out in the field.
Great. And I think also to note that we do have different levels of photo quality and resolution that could be set on every field. So if you set a higher resolution, much higher chance that those photos will be readable and numbers will be readable on them.
Yep.
Great. We have one more question I think is related to mobile. Then we have a couple of questions related to the PDF report, which maybe we can get to after we related. Okay, let's see. In regards to on-site upload of pictures, if you exit out of the app or it times out before you finish your upload, you have to start the upload again, correct? Or has that been rectified? I'm happy to take that one.
Yeah, I was going to say, come on that one. I think I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's a great question. The way that the mobile apps work is that the app, when the app is open, the syncing will happen, all the upload will happen. As the app goes into the background, unfortunately, it's just a restriction of the way that the mobile phones work and the operating systems, is that it will stop the app eventually from operating. It'll just basically put it into sleep mode. So you have to open up the app again, and it won't restart the app, but it will continue when you reopen it. We have added a couple of features around notifications if the user puts the app out of view and they still have stuff to still have things to upload to remind them to go back into the app. But unfortunately, there's not a lot that we have control over when it comes to apps in the background. It is just the way that iOS and Android work, unfortunately, from a technical perspective. So we'd love it if the upload would be continuing in the background, but there's not a lot we can do about it.
Yeah, that reminds me of I was getting on a plane and I thought I was downloading a bunch of things from Netflix and I had gone out of the app. So I got on the plane and none of my stuff was downloaded.
Yeah, we're not the only ones.
Yeah, I guess that's a problem a lot of companies face.
When Netflix solves it, we'll figure out hire the engineers from them and figure out how they solved it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Give me a moment to get out of mobile here, Kamal. You can go now.
Sure.
I just want to get it, and then I wanted to show people what this looks like when they get back on the web app.
Sounds great. So. Let's see. I think. Okay, there's a question on PDF reports. We can get back to those. Maybe we'll just have a little overview of the PDF reports and then ask those questions. And I think there was one more I'm looking for. This one I'm going to read. When uploading photos to a SiteCapture report, could it be possible to set the template so that we can upload several photos simultaneously in the same section instead of one at a time? I'm not sure I fully understand the question. Perhaps first you ask it, are you referring to the web app or the mobile app? Maybe we can get some clarification on that.
Yeah. And I would also just say on that, while you're waiting for some clarification, we have amazing support. So if you ever have questions like that, you can send them to support@sitecapture.com. And I know the team there will work really closely with you to make sure they're answering your question. But definitely, Kamal, if they respond, you can let me know and I can show them what that looks like on at least the web app. I think on the mobile app, they can sync the photos kind of in bulk, or they can sync them as they go, right? They're always going to be syncing when there's connectivity and they're in the right places in the app. So,
yep. And please keep the questions coming. We'll keep answering the best we can. So put questions in the comments on whatever platform you're at. We see them and we'll be happy to answer them. All right, Robin, I'll hand it back to you.
Yeah. So going back to, again, I think communication is a huge part of what prevents you from needing to go back out to a job site a second time for a job that should have only taken one trip. We talked about notifications. I'm just going to show you, this is what it does look like. So now I'm back in that web app view as an admin. So even if I'm, here on my dashboard view, I can see I've got messages. And if I click this, it's going to show me that I've got this stream of messages here. So for example, you can see this is the one that we were kind of inside looking at. So I'll just click on that. I can go in here and I can see those messages right at that time. The other thing I could do, like let's say that person had sent me a message saying, can you please review a specific photo, or can you please look at what I've done while I'm still on site? And by the way, you're going to notice a lot of these photos were taken at a trade event, so you'll see some funny photos here. But the idea is I could be in here, reviewing these, evaluating them as I go. And one of the things that we talked about,
it looks like we need AI to identify when people put their thumb in front of the camera as well.
Yeah, that's another good one. One of the things we talked about was being able to look at different resolutions. So we do give you the ability to choose inside what we refer to as templates, but templates are really just that structure that creates the form, kind of smart templates on our side, creating smart forms. But you have the ability to choose like the highest resolution. So that's going to give you the ability to drill in like here. So you can see me drilling into that photo so I could look at things in great detail. Let me get back out of here for a second. Or I can also be just scrolling kind of photo to photo. Again, I kind of picked a bad one because trade show, so I'll get out of it. But this would be one way that you can be looking at these things while the person is there. If you need them to retake something, you can instantly send them a message saying, hey, you need to retake this photo. You could also be editing those photos from within here. So maybe if you wanted to delete a photo and say, hey, please retake this one or that one, you could be adding your own comments inside the individual fields, just adding them text-wise. But either way, you can be messaging, you can be adding comments, you can be flagging the photos, you can be reviewing the data points, and you can be doing all of that while that person is still out there working on the job. So that's just one really critical aspect of this. It's easy to see, kind of track what's happening from an activity standpoint. You can see like, oh, look, this job I had just sent out, it's just gotten marked complete. Again, I can drill into it. Same thing I showed before. I can scroll through, see the answers to questions. I can drill in and click into each and every photo. I can validate that these photos were actually taken on the job site by drilling through to the geolocations here. In addition, I can look at the date and the timestamp and who took that photo. So just telling me that these are those photos that I need for my validation points, either getting information I need to get by looking at the photo, or if I had someone out on that job site taking these photos as proof of something that was necessary for compliance or to report damage or to do anything for an insurance repair, a claim, you name it, I can prove that these things were taken where I said they were taken, when I said they were taken. So really robust tools in terms of how the photos are handled. They're further going to be cataloged for you. So a lot of people who come to us are dealing with situations where, sure, they're getting photos, but someone's going out and taking, 50, 100, 500 photos and just uploading them into a Dropbox or a Google Drive file. In this case, you can actually see it's cataloged. It's going to show you each and every photo, where it was taken, what data point may have been gathered as associated with that photo. We talked about those little mini forms. I can see that whole mini form. What is this photo of? What am I looking at? I'm looking at a roof array. I'm not actually looking at a roof array, but you guys get my point. And again, just all the data I need, the detail of those photos, the ability to zoom in and see them more clearly. And as I mentioned, do things like some light editing, delete them if they're not applicable, flag them, because you can flag photos to choose what's going to download into a zip file, or what I might want to appear on a PDF report. And speaking of PDF reports, we give you some pre-laid out PDF report designs to make it very easy for you then to take a nicely formatted report, choose a version of it that you maybe want to give to your customer, give to a financing company, whatever it is, the purpose that you've gone out and gathered all of this information. Whoever needs to get it, you can choose different user roles and do a quick one click to get that report. You can also simply grab the URL for that report, in which case you can send that to someone and they don't need to actually have a login or be a user of our system to come in and get this version of the report. But as you can see now, I've got my report, all my data points laid out. my photos, and you've got lots of configuration options about how you want the photos to show up. But in this case, they're captioned, they show the geocodes underneath them, and they're just laid out, in a reasonable size at the end of the report. Kamal, you mentioned there were some questions around PDF reports, so I thought
Yeah,
maybe
Robin,
I'd
I think
find
actually,
them.
I think the report didn't show up on the screen. He just
Okay.
showed. So
There we
there you
go.
go. There
All
we go.
right. Sorry, it was sharing tabs. So I'll just quickly go back through. I was just saying that the data is laid out. We give you some pre-designed layouts, but again, there's configurability and you get many choices about what data points you want to show up on the report. You get choices about where you want those photos to actually show up and whether they're larger and they're 1 to page or 2 to page or 4 to page, like in this report. You can see here the data's at the top, the photos are laid out at the bottom. What shows up as far as like the caption on the photo. In this case, we're showing the geolocation, but you have all kinds of choices about what you want to have show up as it relates to the photos and how that data lays out in that PDF report. So yeah, if there's any questions about PDFs, I'm happy to answer those now.
Yeah, I think a lot of the questions, Robin, were related to ability to, I think, customize the layout of the report. Maybe you could just briefly show the report configuration, user interface, and maybe we can provide more details through our support around how to take advantage of this. But there are quite a few configuration options which may solve some of the specific questions that were being asked.
Yeah, absolutely. And we really do encourage you, if you do want to have a report that looks or behaves a little differently than the ones that are pre-installed in your instance of SiteCapture, again, reach out to your account executive or reach out to your customer success manager or to support@sitecapture.com. Any of us will be able to help you with that. We do have a configuration tool available in our professional package, which is what I've been showing you today. And this particular tool does allow you to go in and make choices about the report itself. So you can kind of just, again, I won't go into this in fine-grained detail, but you can kind of see over here on the left, you have choices about different things like titles of what displays, whether or not you want a table of contents, which fields are going to show up in the body, and then photo layout. You have choices if you're gathering individual items and you want your reports to show up what we refer to as inline. So for every roof array, if I wanted that photo to show up right underneath that roof array, again, I've got layout options here to do that. So we do have some help documents about this, but again, we've got some people here who are really good hands-on people who can help you with this. And then sometimes we end up in circumstances where customers have really fairly complicated layouts that they want to achieve in their reports. And when that situation exists, we can take a look at it. And we have been able sometimes to build, custom reports that give you like far more control of the design and the layout than even what you can get with our configuration tools.
And Robin, while you're on this screen, there's a question: is there a way to export a list to show which lots, which I assume they might mean jobs, are in a submitted or in review or in progress?
Yeah, great question. Sure. So there's a couple of things you can do. Number one, we do have statuses that you can be maintaining about the jobs or the sites or properties. So like in these, I've got 2 that are in construction. So I could just select these 2 and export them if I wanted to. Another thing you can do is create unique views in our system. So these views are really great tools that help you organize. And from a given view, you can always do an export. So in this case, if I would just do a search and I would say, I wanted to find all of my jobs. For the sake of this, I'll say in construction. I should mention everything you see like statuses are all very flexible and configurable by you as our customer. But then I could just create a view so that any given time, I could have a view of all my in construction properties, let's say, or I'll say jobs. Again, now that I've got that view from here, I could just easily go in and perform an export of the properties or the job sites that show up in that view. I hope that answers the question, Kamal. Let me know if you think
And again, it's sometimes hard to answer these great sort of detailed questions about how the product works in these kind of forums. But again, please reach out to us at support@sitecapture.com. We'd be happy to set up a call and do one-on-one calls to answer a lot of these detailed questions around reports and uploads and exports. I think we've got about 5 minutes left, Robin. I think there might have been a couple other quick things you wanted to demo, and then maybe we can wrap up.
Yeah, perfect. So again, I just wanted to say that, the views are very powerful, maybe a little less applicable to the elimination of a repeat site visit, but absolutely applicable to keeping yourself organized and being able to quickly see the statuses of things and where they are and what you need to work on at any given time. But the critical component to eliminating the need for redundant site visits is making sure that what you're requiring and what you're asking for out in the field is clear, that the field user can quickly grab the information that you need to see, and that they know what they're required to do, and that they understand, like the photos they need to take. Do they need to take a short video and attach it and upload that for you? So all of those things are super important. And the powerhouse behind that is what we refer to as our templates. And again, templates are simply, you can think of them as like the backbone of those smart mobile forms that go out. So in this case, let's just say I've got a commercial panel inspection and I have a template for that. There's so much about this that is flexible and configurable and unique to me as the customer of SiteCapture in this instance. So everything from me choosing, what information I want to be out in a display, what I want the template itself, the form to be called, but also very critically, what statuses do I want to have? And then even more so than just what statuses, but what kinds of sort of automatic workflows trigger when a person selects those statuses, and then who's got permission to actually set those statuses. So you can get incredibly fine-grained and layered with how you work with these statuses. They're very important. There are other workflows that are automated behind these. So for each individual different template, you can have choices like, could they grab this template and create work while they're out in the field from it? Yes or no. Do you want notifications to go out when the person marks this work complete? Do you want email notifications to go out? So lots of workflows and triggers and things that can actually be embedded and set to work inside your templates. And then on top of that, they're just incredibly easy to edit and manage. So if I simply want to change the name of something, if I want to take one of these, make a copy of it, and kind of create my own template, it's as easy as using something like Word. So I could just say, no, I don't want to call that template. I want to call it form name. Done. If I want to have a default value, so something that shows up, so every time I create work, I can see what type it was. There I go. I put my default value in. You can choose what kind of data inputs you want in each individual template field. So again, really simple, just a matter of checking a box. Here's what I was talking about before. I can choose like what kind of resolutions I want for those photos. I can choose whether or not they're allowed to have a photo that exists on their phone's album and put that photo into this field. And then really critically, is it required or not? Another thing we talked about, just different types of users. I can choose whether the data is not editable. One of the biggest issues is if someone compromises your data, if you've got a unique job identification or an address and you don't want someone out in the field to change that, easy, just admin only. And now they can't edit that field. They can read it, but they can't change it. So just very simple sets of buttons you can check, boxes you can check, buttons you can click, drag and drop. If I want to have someone do this down here, drag and drop. You can add sections, add the plus button, name your section, and then start creating fields within it. Even
Great.
that.
Thanks, Robin.
Sorry,
Robin, sorry to interrupt, but I think we just have 1 minute left, so I want to make sure we get a chance to wrap
perfect.
up. And I think we'll do that. Let's see. So thanks, Robin, for that. Sorry to cut you off, but I want to make sure we get a chance to just summarize everything that happened today. We, as you can see, you learned a lot about how to eliminate site visits by making sure you capture all the data that you need, data and photos in your first time you go to the job site, leveraging our mobile apps, our customizable forms. And if people have more questions, if your existing customers have very specific questions about how the product works or want to set up a time for a Zoom call to walk through features, please contact us at support@sitecapture.com. If you're a new customer or someone new, a prospect, someone wants to learn more about SiteCapture, please contact us at sales at SiteCapture.com. And thank you, everybody, for joining our first SiteCapture Live. We'll be having another one in a month, and you'll be seeing some communication around that soon. All right, great. Thanks, everybody, for your time.